Yep, you're good.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Town of Poland public hearing. Today is, what is today?
12.
Well, 12. Oh my goodness. It's convenient. How today will go is we'll open up the public hearing officially via motion. And then we'll turn it over to Nikki, who will go through each warrant article in detail. And then if there's any questions from the public, we'll address those questions today. So at this point in time, I'll take a motion to start the public hearing.
I take a motion that we start the public hearing. I have one.
I'll second that.
Any questions? Jim Walker,
Yes.
Marion Hawks,
Yes.
Lisa Albee,
Yes.
Jackson Laird.
Yes.
By a vote of 4-0, you have agreed to start the public hearing at 1 p.m. Okay, so how today works is I'm going to read through each warrant article. If you have questions, please ask them. If you'd like to see an amount reduced or anything like that on any of the budget articles, please address the board. They will not make a decision tonight, but they will take it in under advisement for their meeting when they do accept the warrant, which is going to be April 21st. At that time, they will sign the warrant, and then that's what will go to voters going forward for the June 9th meeting. Tonight is not a night for them really to make decisions, just to listen to people's feedback on what the warrant articles are. So we're gonna go ahead and get started, and we're gonna start with Article 1 and 2 are just to choose a moderator to preside at the said meeting. And Article 2 is to elect by secret ballot one select person for a term of 3 years, 2 RSU 16 budget directors for a term of 3 years, 1 RSU 16 director for a term of 2 years, and 2 budget committee members for a term of 3 years, sorry. So we're gonna move on to the legislative articles, which are the comprehensive land use code articles. Number 1 talks about, shall the ordinance entitled Poland Comprehensive Land Use Code, section 509.8.A.1, submission requirements 606.3.C, final plan for minor subdivision, final plan submission requirements be amended. And what this one is basically for is right now the town of Poland requires 2 Mylar copies of each plan be submitted, and then they go forward to the registry of deeds for that. Instead of asking for people to do that, which is more expensive, we're just asking that they follow the Androscoggin Registry of Deeds, which is paper copies and stuff. That way there's nothing special that we're asking for that is anything different than what the Registry of Deeds is going to want. Makes it easier on them, makes it less expensive for them, and it's actually easier for us to handle in this office.
Mm.
So that's all that Article 3 is. Article 4, shall the ordinance entitled Poland Comprehensive Land Use Code, Chapter 14 definitions be amended? What this is to allow fabric covered shelters. Right now, there is no ordinance on fabric covered shelters. What we're talking about is like the drive-in shelters that have like the tarps over the poles and stuff like that. This will require that they don't have to get a permit or anything from us. They're an allowed use. What's happening now is we spend so much time trying to run out, and it's really no different than somebody throwing a tarp over their stuff anyhow. So we'd rather have them put up these than to just throw tarps over things and not get permits for it because they don't, it's just a tarp. So this way it just makes it easier on everybody. Any questions? Article 5. Article 5, shall the ordinance entitled Poland Comprehensive Land Use Code, section 504.3.F.1 and 504.3.F.2.A, Planning Board Special Review for Legal Non-Conforming Single-Family Dwelling Located in Shoreland Zoning District be amended. What this one is it adds the word expand in there, and only because right now it doesn't allow for expansion of these in the Shoreland Zoning District. So it is just asking if it's in a non-conforming single-family dwelling that it can be expanded in those districts with planning board approval. And so it's just adding that in. Any questions? All right, we're gonna move on to the articles for the budget. So the first thing about the budget is municipal expenses are going up 3.24%, an increase from the manager's originally proposed of 2.56%. This was a decision the budget committee made to increase the road paving capital improvement plan to $700,000 from the manager proposed amount of $643,031. This means that the total net to be raised by taxes is 2.43% for the municipal budget. Be very clear, this is the municipal budget, this is not school budget, and does not include the county taxes, those are two separate budgets. I don't think there's really much else I can say about the budget, except for 2.43% we felt was a really low percent, and I think we did a really good job trying to keep the expenses down as much as we could and everything, and we'll talk about those as we go through. So Article 6, to see if the town will vote to make all taxes assessed for the town's 2027 fiscal year, July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2027, due in 2 installments, with the first half of the total amount assessed due and payable on October 1st, 2026, the remaining half due on April 1st, 2027, and to charge interest at the rate of 7% per year computed on a daily basis on any portion of the installment due that remains outstanding as of November 1, 2026 or May 1, 2027. And to see if the town will vote pursuant to Title 36 MRSA, Section 506A, to set the interest rate to be paid by the town on abated taxes at 3%, and to see if the town will permit the tax collector or their designee to waive accidental tax interest payment shortages, and the amount not to exceed $5. Do we have any questions from the public? Any questions from the board? Okay, moving on to Article 7. To see if the town will vote to appropriate $3,359,291 in revenue from non-property tax resources to reduce the total amount authorized to be raised by taxation, and further to see if the town will authorize the Board of Select Persons and Treasurer to accept any additional revenues or funds that may be used to reduce the amount required to be raised by taxation. Just want to make this one very clear. This one is always a tight one with people saying no to it. If it is voted down at the polls, this means that we cannot take the revenue that we would get from excise tax and stuff like that and apply it or use it towards our bills. It would just go in a rainy day fund instead. This means your tax rate will be higher by $3.3 million if you say no to this question. So I want to be very clear that saying no to this question is going to raise your property taxes that we have to assess you. So to me, it's almost like a no-brainer that I would say, yes, let's accept the revenue so we can have lower taxes. But some people, I think, get confused on the wording, so I just want to make that very clear that that's what this is about. Any questions? Article 8, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,673,849 for general government. This is a reduction of 0.07% or $1,151 over fiscal year 26. Any questions? Article 9, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $751,721 for community services. This is a reduction of 0.57% or $4,308 over last year's budget for fiscal year 26. Any questions? Article 10, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,040,073 for public works and $559,084 for solid waste. Public works goes up 7.08%. Why does that go up? It goes up because we are hiring a new driver, so we have one extra driver on the road at all times during snowstorms and stuff. That allows us to have someone on each and every route, and if a truck goes down or something, it allows for our mechanic to be in and working on the vehicle while we still have all the routes covered. The solid waste goes up 7.20%. Why is that going up? That's going up due to the tipping fees or the costs that we have to pay to get rid of our trash. Any questions from anyone? Article 11, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $2,591,434 for public safety. This is the largest departmental increase of 15.36%, or $344,956. Why is it going up so much? It's going up a lot because we did have contract negotiations that happened this year for the town, but the ASO also had contract negotiations, so that greatly affects our contract with them for their wages that have gone up. It also gives us 2 new full-time firefighters for 12-hour shifts during the day to help reduce the forced overtime that we're making our firefighters and EMTs work.
They're fire rescue, though.
Yes.
They're cross-trained.
Yes, absolutely. Any questions? All right, moving on to Article 12, to see if the town will appropriate for the tax increment finance and districts an estimated total amount of $912,777 dependent upon the actual mill rate. This goes down by 7% or $68,723. This is part of our drawdown plan. We do expect this number to go down a little bit each year until the end of the life of the TIFs. One of our TIFs ends next year, fiscal year 27, and the other 2 end fiscal year 30. So at the end of fiscal year 30, moving forward, you will no longer see this question on there unless we have new TIF districts in town. Any questions? Article 13, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,210,000 for the fiscal year 27 capital improvement program for the capital reserve accounts. This amount goes down 7.85% or $103,060. Most of that is due to us putting less in the, is it the contingency fund we put less in? I'm sorry, contingency fund. And that's because we had said originally that we wanted to get that fund up to a certain amount. That's for emergencies that happen in town, like furnace issues, things like that. And once we got it to that amount, we would maintain that level and we wouldn't put any more in there unless we use some of it. So we don't want to keep just stacking money in there for no reason at all when we don't have any plan for it. So that's why we asked for less amount this year. Article 14, any questions on that one? Article 14, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate approximately $20,000 based on the mill rate for overlay for the purposes of granting tax abatements and addressing any other tax errors. This has always been at $20,000. It's for abatements that we might have to issue to people because we've taxed the wrong owner, we've taxed in error. Maybe their house was destroyed and we didn't realize it, or something like that. So this gives us that ability to go ahead and address those errors without affecting how much the town has to pay their bills. Any questions? Article 15, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Select Persons to transfer from the town's unassigned fund balance an amount of $35,000 for the purpose of funding the property tax assistance ordinance and an amount not to exceed $262,943 for the purpose of reducing the total amount authorized to be raised by taxation for the fiscal year 2027. Where did $262,943 come from? That is the amount after our final audit for fiscal year 25 that dropped through to our rainy day fund, so to speak, that we feel that we do not need to grow that any larger, and we would like to give that back to the taxpayers as soon as possible, so the following year we try to apply that back and get the authorization to go ahead and use that to reduce the taxes by that much. How do we get that money? That's from us not expending quite as much as we thought, or it's by us getting in a little more revenue than we thought we were going to when we did our budget. Any questions? Okay, Article 16, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,514,188 for county taxes. This is not an amount the town has any say over, that we vote on or anything. It is the county commissioners that get to do this at their level. They just give us the bill. Whether the townspeople agree with this or not at the polls, we still have to expend the money in the full amount. What means is if it is not approved, then we are authorized to spend last year's total amount. However, we still have to pay the bill in full, so the town is not in default of it, which means we just have to take money from other departments at that time to finish paying the bill off. So it has to be on there because we have to have the authorization to spend the money. Okay. Article 17, by citizen petition to see if the town will vote to adopt a commercial solar energy facility moratorium to last 180 days for rural residential and village zones. A copy of the proposed moratorium is available for inspection in the clerk's office as well as on the town's website at thepolandtownoffice.org. Do you have any questions relating to that? Martha, did you have anything you wanted to say? Good?
No,
Okay.
I'm glad it's on the warrant.
Yes, it is definitely on the warrant. It had enough signatures and it was certified at the last board meeting and will be present as written on the warrant.
People will be hopefully involved and aware. That's the goal.
All right, and with that, we have come to the end of the public hearing. You can also go back to the earlier public hearing on March 31st online to get some more details if you want about some of the things we talked a little more in depth about that night. Or you could stop in and talk to Matt or myself about anything regarding the warrant and we can help you out. Motion to close the public hearing.
Move we close the public hearing at 1:16 PM.
I second that.
Yes.
Jim Walker,
Yes.
Marianne Hawks, Lisa Elby.
Yes.
Jackson Learn.
Yes.
With a vote 4-0, you've closed the public hearing at 1:16 PM. Have a good evening, everybody.
Afternoon.